Hello, yes, welcome, and we are here to do some watercolour painting. We've got a sketch already here. Now what I want to do is I want to put this on the overhead so you can see a close-up of this, but it's like a little bit of a white cottage with a bit of a tree and a few things, so a nice kind of intimate little picture. Let's have a look at it here. Now feel free, if we leave that there, feel free to take a screen capture of this. If you want to sketch this in yourself, feel free to take a little capture, a little screen grab of this. It's quite a small sheet of watercolour paper, size-wise. You're looking at it's quite a nice little postcardy size actually. It's 9 inches by 7.5 roughly, so it doesn't really matter how big or small it is, but that is what we're going to do today. That's all there, that's ready to go, and we're going to look forward to this, because if we jump over to the palette, we can see here we have some materials. Now this entire painting could be done quite easily, quite happily, with primary colours: blue, red and yellow. These are my own brand of colours. I've got a full range of 14 paints, beautiful. Matthew Palmer collection, natural yellow light, natural blue, we've got natural blue there, and we've got some natural red. So you could just use those if you wanted to, but because I'm using my full range of paints, I'm going to be bringing in a few more colours. I'm going to creep in some more colours today, so I'm going to be using natural greens, for example, natural greys. I'm just going to use the colours and just kind of mention them as I go through. So I've got the palette here, I've got the 3 brushes, large, medium and small, Matthew Palmer Super Point, beautiful brushes. Might bring some more brushes into play later on, but these are basically a size 20, a size 10 and a size 6. 3 beautiful watercolour brushes ready for action. Okay, everything's available on the website, all the W's, watercolour.tv. So pretty much straight into this. I'm going to use the big brush. I've got some kitchen paper here as well, that's just tucked to one side for dabbing the old brush, but we're going to pretty much go straight in. And the first thing we'd always do is just use water and wet the page. Now I have got a slight tilt on the board. What I've done is put this underneath the board just to give it a bit of a tilt. So I'm going to start off by wetting it and putting a nice big wash on, which is going to make such a difference. So having wetting to wet, it works really well. Now this paper is cotton. This is the new paper that will be available any moment now. Well, it's available now in packs of 5, but we'll have packs of 15 available very soon. Wetting the paper twice is about what you want to do. So you can see it's all nice and wet. Is it me or is it moist? There we go. Did you wet it first? Thank you to Clive that sent me this mug with some of the little things I say without realising. Where's your light coming from? Where's your light coming from? Did you wet it? Is it me or is it moist? Over here, using a size 10 brush. But anything goes. What we're going to do here is put some lovely, I'm not sure what sort of time of year we're going to do this, but we're just going to go with it. We're just going to go and just create something from nothing. Yeah, bloody mess. We'll start off with some natural yellow, a light yellow, beautiful little tap on tissue over here. Now this is demonstration speed. What does that mean? What that means, good question, what that means is it means I'm working pretty quickly here. So it's not watercolour workshop speed. If you want watercolour workshop speed, then obviously they are a thing that happen. Nice bit of yellow, beautiful. This is lovely colour, bring it in. We'll put some down on the old garden here as well. Chuck it in there, can't go wrong. Just going to let all this paint just do its thing. So we've gone for that nice vibrant yellow. Stay with us. Like watching bloody paint dry, this Palmer. We'll jump over to the palette, we'll clean the brush, and what we'll do is we'll go for some blue, because you can't beat a bit of blue. We've got some blue, natural blue, beautiful colour on the tissue there. Control the flow. Let's go for the sky. Beautiful. A little bit of a twist. Control the movement of the paint by you've got to practice that. Keep it clean, there might be children watching. What we'll do is we'll go for this and then we'll come down and we'll let the paint mix together. Don't be afraid. Bloody terrified. Sorry, I can't help myself today, it's Friday. Friday feeling, I don't fancy a crunchy bar. Who remembers that? Now what we'll do here is we'll mix some of the blue over the yellow, so you get a bit of shadow and a bit of green and that kind of thing. You can see the green mixing on the paper. What a way to work. What a lovely way to work. So you can get that bit of green coming in there. Nice warm evening or whatever. Letting the paint spread, let it flow. Jump back to the palette. Clean brush. We'll go for this one, Natural Green Light. I've got the two greens. You can see them just on the edge. Again, all available on TIP website. On TIP website. We'll get the light green, beautiful, on the tissue. Can't go wrong. What we'll do here is we'll get the green coming in. Nice bit of natural green. And we'll let this paint just mix in. So we're going to basically just have this little out of focus tree. See, I'm utilising the water that's on the paper here to make this tree look as though it's got some misty depth to it. Are you with me on this? You can smell the fear, can't you? We'll also bring it round the side, just a little touch. I don't want too much at the side there, just a smidge, but that is a lovely light green. We can bring that light green as well. We can bring the light green and we can drop it in there. So this watercolour demo that we're doing here is a flavour. It's a flavour of what we do on the virtual workshops, because that's really what we're talking about here. These virtual workshops do actually happen pretty much every weekend. And there's one, I'm just going to show you the ad because there's one coming up actually here on the 26th of May. So if you're watching this live, like I guess a lot of you are, then yeah, get yourself booked in. Sunday the 26th of May, paint a hot air balloon flying over Stonehenge. The summer solstice is only a couple of weeks away, 2 or 3 weeks away now, isn't it? 4 weeks away actually, as I'm live here. So that's coming up. And that's going to be lovely because I have painted Stonehenge before 4 years ago with a group, but we're going to do something different here. We're going to do a virtual workshop where you just sit in your PJs at home, look at what it says at the bottom of your screen. You can watch it live or at any time. You've not got to be there in person. It's yours to keep forever, and that's what's really cool about these things. It's basically yours to keep for an eternity, so you've not got to worry about if you can't make it on Sunday. But have a look, jump on the website, all the information is there. That's how you get yourself booked on. Back to this then, we're going to go darker green now. Darker green, natural green, which is the darker version. Think about what greens, oh hang on, it's all happening here. Think about what greens actually are. Greens are basically just primary colours. So there's no issue with using just primary colours for this. Obviously I'm going to use these colours because I've got them. And that for me obviously makes sense. Now here we're going to go darker. We'll get a little bit of darkness in. Get the paint just mix in within this tree. So a nice kind of summery tree. But I'm still taking advantage of the fact that the paper is damp, and that's the secret here. We're going to go along the edge of the little footpath here as well with this. Work up along here. And just basically let the paint just mix on the paper. So it's giving you variation, it's giving you different levels of trees and texture. I'm going to bring in another brush in a second. So I don't want to do anything in the background because that's nice to be left misty. We'll sort of leave that a little bit alone. But I'm just popping in a few shadows here. Look, I love how you can mix the paint on the paper in watercolours. Beautiful thing to do. It really is. So that's really nice. Just want to make sure things are nice and dark at this edge. Perfect. We'll let all that just do its thing. A little bit of darkness going in. A few spots and dots on the edge. Jump over to the palette then. What we're going to do now is use a slightly different brush. Let's get over to the palette, which is on this camera right here. There we go. And we're going to use a different brush. What brush we're going to use? We are going to use the famous, the infamous Matthew Palmer Tree and Texture Brush Medium. There you go. That's the brush. Again, this one's seen a bit of action, but these are really well established brushes, been around for a long time. I'm going to clean the brush and take the darker green, mix it into the brush. In fact, what we'll do is we'll mix the two greens together. Mix the two greens together right there. Give it a stipple. Can you see? All spiky. and that's going to let us get a little bit more detail in to this picture. So let's go. Gentle taps. Paper is almost dry. Almost dry. Look how it's giving individual leaf for the tree. Doesn't want much of this. But I love how it just gives that little individual leaf effect. It's really nice, really rewarding process when you do this kind of thing. We could do the same down here as well. Just bring a little bit of texture into this foliage. If it's blending too much, just tap away the excess paint on some kitchen paper, paper towel, whatever. At any time you can rinse the brush, just put water on it. Now, those workshops that we're talking about, you don't need any specialist brushes or paints or anything. It's just primary colours. So it's all pretty laid back. The one this Sunday is a little bit extra special because we've got a virtual hangout that's happening afterwards where you can send your pictures in for a critique. If you want to. Look how nice that is. Now, while that's a little bit damp, just want to go a touch darker. So again, more of that dark green. Just got more blue in this green. A little bit darker, just creeping underneath here, just to get a little bit of some sort of a shadow creeping in there. Perfect, there you go. So just that little bit of, that's like really inside the tree, you know, so you've got that lovely depth. Well, give that a second just to do its thing. I picked up a size 6 brush here. We're going to go a little bit darker in a second, but before we do that, we're going to take this colour here, right on the edge of the palette, which is part of the skin tone range. We've got light and dark available. This is the darkest one of the two. Very diluted though, very diluted. That's nice for putting a little bit of a footpath or something down here. That sort of rich colour, beautiful colour, really complements the greens, I always think. So we'll bring that in there. Put that in there, son. Bring that across. Again, using the texture of the watercolour paper that we've got here, that'll go in quite nicely. We'll start to use some grey for the first time now, so natural grey. Lovely shadow colour. You can mix the shadow colour from primary colours. Have a look on the website for information on how to mix from primary colours, or look back on the YouTube channel, loads on there about colour mixing. Because just a couple of shadows, a bit of rough stuff along the edge is always a good idea at this point. And then we'll go in and just going to use that grey to be a little bit darker along the edge. So just kind of going up into the, so for the first time using a smaller brush, small Super Point or size 6 brush, and bringing a little bit of tonal work into this edge, make it look a bit darker basically. So it's just going quite deep on the edge, keeping the colours quite loose, quite vague. And I've got the old palette knife here somewhere. We've got a palette knife here. Look at the studio, this thing here, look. So if we come to the tree, what we can do there is we can actually just do a few branches, scrape some branches out, especially over that dark area. Makes sense to do this while the paint, I mean, this is a sign of quality. If your paper's still wet, then you know you're getting quality. Can you see it's gone a bit wavy? That will flatten once it's dry. I will be giving this a dry in a second or two, but I'm not quite ready for that yet. So that lovely little bit of sort of branch detail. There's potential that you could do something over here with that as well, but I think it's probably going to be too, yeah, it's too dry to do that. But that's good. That's good. But that beautiful. I love that. Just instant branches, yeah. So that's how we're looking so far. Taking a bit of shape there. This little watercolour vinaigrette, and all good so far. Right, so a few little tidy ups here and there, a little bit of darkness on this edge. I've just got a bit of water on this brush and I'm just softening things in a little bit, just to give it a bit of a soften out. Lovely. We're going to start to put some shadows and various things in, but we can't really do, if I'm honest, I can't really do much at the minute because, yeah, the paint's wet here, but it's also very wet on the palette as well. So what I need to do with this now is give this a bit of a dry, folks. It'll take me 30 seconds to a minute to give it a dry. If you're watching this after the live broadcast on the 24th, just bear in mind that I am live, so this live watching paint dry is not very interesting, is it? So now's a great time to hear from today's video sponsor while I grab a hairdryer and give this a bit of a dry. Back in a minute. Today's video sponsor is Connect Fibre. Thank you, Connect Fibre, for sponsoring the channel. And if you really want to help this channel, make sure you check out the link below to get £60 credit against full fibre, super fast broadband. Is your broadband smart enough? Well, thanks to Connect Fibre, mine is. With so many devices connected to the internet, you'll need a broadband provider that can handle it. Connect Fibre's full fibre broadband has the speed and reliability to keep everything from TVs and tablets to security cameras and doorbells seamlessly working in sync. With Connect Fibre, there are 4 great packages to choose from. The ultimate smart home experience, the hypersonic package, is perfect for you. This is what I've got, and it makes these uploads, these live streams, so painless. I can live stream over Wi-Fi. It's amazing. You'll get astonishing speeds of up to 1000 megabits per second, all at an affordable price, ensuring seamless streaming and ultra-fast upload and download speeds. There's also Connect Fibre TV service, which can be added to the hypersonic package. The TV features hours of on-demand video services, as well as TV. There's the phone and mesh service too, which spreads the internet throughout all your properties. The service is currently available in my hometown of Bolsover, as well as other parts of Derbyshire, Cambridgeshire, Essex, Nottinghamshire and Yorkshire. Connect Fibre, fairer, faster and flawless internet connections. Visit connectfibre.co.uk and see why their full fibre broadband is the smart choice. And a big thank you to Connect Fibre for sponsoring this channel, and don't forget to check out the link below to get your £60 credit against your account. This is nice and dry now, so we can start to work on the focal point of the cottage. We're going to get really close into that and work on it at this point. So let's get back to the palette then. We've got the size 6 or small super point brush, and using a fairly strong grey here, natural grey. Now natural grey is a mixture of primary colours. Again, it's a colour that's quite useful to have because you use so much of it. I've got the kitchen paper. I'm going to use this to bring in the actual detail and shadow on the building now at this point, okay? So for this, we're going to start to pick out some important little areas of the building. So we'll start off, we're going to rotate the board as we do this. And you can see that the grey is fairly strong, not massively, but fairly strong, to be honest. Quite important to get a decent amount of colour. We're going to make this little side building stand forward. Bring that down there. Clean the brush really well on the tissue. Let's get these shadows in pretty quickly. We're going to soften these in. Get the water blending them together. Perfect. And then we'll do the same on the main building here. So for this, we need to add a shadow down the side of the porch. Or is it a Ferrari? One of the two. We're going to come down there. What would you rather, a porch or a Ferrari at the front of your house? Bring that down. You often get a little shadow that sneaks off down there like that. A little cast shadow. So we'll bring that, because we've got that lovely sort of warm light coming into this, so we'll blend that in a bit. Beautiful. We'll also come down the edge of this little section here. That's important. With natural grey is just the perfect shadow colour. Clean the brush, give it 2 or 3 taps on kitchen paper, and then give it a soften out. Blend it. There we go. So you can see how that little porch has got a little bit of an extrusion. Nice. We need to go a bit thicker with the grey. Natural grey. 50 Shades of Grey. That's what I want to call my life story. It's going to be in 3 parts. It's got to be in it. We're going to go underneath here. The shadow under eaves, very important, down that edge, under the eaves of the dorm window, a little bit, and then we'll pick it up here. Don't be afraid. Clean the brush, a couple of tippy tappy toos, and then we'll use water. Soften it down a bit. Chuck a bit of water on it. Keep your brush clean as you do this, so if you need to go back into water to give it a bit more softening in. But already you can see what's happening, can't you? We're getting that little bit of shape, the movement. Yeah, it's working well. If I really dilute the grey down, steady, we can put a little bit of shadow cast from the tree, maybe. Here with me. Can't go wrong, can you? We've kind of got the light coming more this way, haven't we? But it works quite nice. A few little sort of dappled shadows always look nice on a vinaigrette like this. This little fence here, a little gate, well, probably a white gate, something that. I used to be an estate agent's white gates. Sure it did. Anyway, just something that popped in my mind. A little bit of water just to soften it out. Give it a blend. But yeah, natural grey, beautiful, beautiful grey. A little bit of dappled light here. Transparent grey, stunning. We can see how this thing's taking shape. We'll do a few more bits while those shadows dry off. We've not finished with tree, but that's just giving a little bit of a shadow there. So we'll just get a shadow up from the back of that tree there. So there's a few branches that are cast in against whatever is there. Quite a loose way of working this. I quite enjoy it sometimes, working a little bit looser with the paint and sharpen that edge up. Often you'd see me drop a little bit of a shadow under the eaves as well. Just a thin line. This is all done with this one brush. It's a size 6 round, but it's actually called a super point. It's my own version of a brush. Just a bit more pointy, basically. What that'll do is make the windows pop a little bit further forward. Can you see you've got that 3D thing happening? We're going to put the roof on, put the chimney on. Chimney, what colour for chimney? Well, I'm actually going to use that dark skin tone for that. A little bit deeper than what we did before. We'll get some of that on there. Put that on there, son. We'll drop that onto here and do the chimney stack and the pot. Obviously we're going to put shadows and things on this, but that's quite a nice starting point. I'm going to pop a little bit of this in the roof as well, but not all in, not all in. Just a few bits of that colour in the roof, because I'm going to actually use... How do you mix this colour from primary colours? Good question. Well, if you mix up a very rusty orange from yellow and red and just add a bit of blue, but make sure it's more red. If we use natural orange here, which is a lovely terracotta colour, yellow and red, obviously, that's orange, right? And we can add the roof to this thing. Matthew, can you please slow down? Well, yeah, it's a demo, this. Just treat this as a demo, folks. If you do want me to work steady, that's when you need to be looking at something like this, the virtuals, because that's where we do that, you know, taking us time. Again, the picture that we're doing on Sunday the 26th as we live here. There's one every weekend pretty much. It's going to be this one. Hot air balloon flying over beautiful Stonehenge sunset in watercolours. This includes some extras, £100 art material giveaway. Also an after workshop hangout. What does that mean? That means it's optional for you to stick around once we've done, and you can send in your paintings for hints, tips and advice on how to improve your paintings. It's up to you. You don't have to be there live. It's yours to keep. Watch live anytime. Jump on the website, all the W's, watercolour.tv. The links are in the description, or just jump on the website, and basically what you do is you go to the big flashy right at the top of the screen. You can see the countdown there. Look, in 1 day and 20 hours I'm going to be live, and this is the big button at the top. You click on to go to the upcoming workshop, click on that, and all the information is there for you to see about that workshop. Remember, this one is a little bit extra special. We're going that extra mile to give you something extra. A little bit of something extra. There's about 14 spaces left for that workshop. Can't go wrong, can you? Back to this. Just want to show you this actually. Let me show you this here. We've got a painting here of a hot air balloon that I did over the Grand Canyon. This is nice. It's not this picture that we're doing on Sunday, but it gives you that kind of idea what we're talking about. Back to this. We've got the natural orange there, then natural orange, and we're going to be using that on the roof with the same brush. We're going to mix it with the that's giving the chimney time to dry. I'm going to mix it with that skin tone there. We don't want to keep it as bright as this, so do bear that in mind, but we're just going to start to go in, being careful to paint around the dorm window. We'll get to that. Now at this stage we want to go darker, so we're going to introduce a little bit of natural brown. You could add a bit more blue if you're using primary colours. So basically darkening this thing down. I always think a nice orange sort of tiled roof looks really nice against something with lots of green on. So like this little cottage here, if I turn this thing around, the reason for that is because I want to get a clean edge across the bottom there. Look, just block it in. Working up towards the tree, of course. Now I'm just going to introduce some shadows into this. So at this stage, once I've got to there, I want to just use that same colour, the one here, to bring in the little roof on the Ferrari, down there as well, and then down here. Lovely. Now I want to bring some grey into that colour. So you can see at the top of the screen there, I've got the palette on, so you can just see I'm just bringing a little bit of grey to make it a slightly darker colour. The reason for that is because I want to go quite dark as it goes into the tree. So a little bit of a negative painting thing happening here. So again, because I'm using a nice quality paper, you can see how the paint's all mixing on the paper. And this is giving me some shadows in the roof. It's giving me a bit of wear and tear, a bit of pigeon poo, that kind of thing. It just helps to make it look a little bit more realistic than just a, you know, just a blob of orange. Gives it more character. Same for this as well. Get a little bit in there. Nice. Clean the brush, wipe it through some tissue, so you're wiping the brush almost dry, and then you can smooth this in a little bit. So if you've got any bits that you're not happy with, you can refine the edges at this point, give it a little bit more character. Also, like this section here, which is really close in to the roof there, I want to go a little bit darker again. So just getting some almost pure grey. You can see the darkness there, look at that. I've popped it in the brownie orange mix. And then we're going to go in and just go negative painting. Work across, down here, on the roof, even down the back. See, it's starting to dry at this point, so I can be a little bit more creative with the flicks of the brush. So the paint will stay put rather than blend all over the shop. So that's giving me a little bit more character, you see. There we go. That looks really nice. Now that same colour, that grey colour, I want to drop on the chimney. It's grey enough to be a shadow. I'm not too concerned about it. Soften that in with a little bit of water. So you've kind of got your 3D chimney. I'll come back to that once it's had a moment to dry. While that is having a moment to dry, we will come back and put that in shortly. But let's pop some windows and a few little bits and pieces in on that one. We've kind of got what we need, but windows want to be dark grey, if I'm being honest. So you want to be quite grey with your windows. They need to be dark to make them work. Same brush. You can do the doors as well, rest on your paper. Let's get all these windows in. And I'm going to do these like a bit of an L shape. Now I'm working very quickly here because I'm conscious this is a bit like watching paint dry. But it'll grow on us, won't it? Not going to be too much in a rush when you do this kind of thing, but down the left, across the top of each window, we'll soften these in a little bit later on. Hold the brush like a pen. Quite a strong grey. Down here. Little L shapes. Little downstairs loo. If you look close on the windowsill, you can see a knitted doll sat on a toilet roll. Can you see it? Just right there. A pink A pink doll with a knitted dress sat on a toilet roll. Childhood memories. Is that still a thing? Do people still make them? Sure they do. My grandma used to make them. Sell them at WI fairs. Make your toilet roll look attractive with a knitted doll. Clean the brush and on the tissue, back to the first one. And then we're just going to blend these in with an almost dry brush. That'll make them look a little bit more of a reflection. Has anybody got a knitted doll sat on toilet roll? Let me know in the comments. Let's bring that down. That really makes a difference, don't it? Now we'll do more detail to that. What I want to do here is use the dark skin tone that we used earlier, and drop it on the windowsills and lintels. Quite effective. If I dilute that down massively, really pale, good idea here is to drop in a few little bits of very slight impression of some stonework. This is going to be very weak and pale, but that little hint of bit of shadow in the stonework, I always think it looks nice. Brightens it up massively. It's quite a nice thing to do actually. Perfect. And then I'll also do the same with grey actually. So I've got some grey here. I want to dilute it down. Pale grey, shade number 13 with 50. I'm going to go in and drop in a few little bits of little stonework. Just it kind of fills the gaps. You wouldn't expect to see much stonework, would you? Even just a few little bits on the footpath down here as well. Hang on, you can't see what I'm doing, can you? There you go. Back to this. What I'm doing is dropping in little bits of. You can tell we're live, can't you? And pop little bits of wrong camera, Palmer. Pop little bits of stonework on here. It's quite good that. Let's it just puts a little bit of interest. Even a few little spots and dots around here. Could be a bit darker with the grey there, to be fair. Same time sharpen the edge of these. This little bushy area. Right, let's get this roof in. That's going to be quite dark, yeah. We've probably got the colour here actually. This was the mixture of the orange with the brown and the grey. We mixed it on the fly, right? We mixed it on the fly, but that wants to be quite dark as a colour. Don't be afraid of it, just put it in. And we'll go get some more of the colour on the brush. Nice and dark, and then turn it round. And we'll do the same thing down there as well. We'll get a bit of detail in here later on, but as a starting point for that, that's quite nice. A few little bits of stonework here on the chimney. This is an upside down chimney. Get some detail on the roof as well. If you can hear any strange noises, they've just decided to do some roadworks outside the studio today, so we're pretty soundproof here, but we have got, I'm not sure I can drown that out, so if you do hear any funny noises, it's not me. It's the studio, it's the outside of the studio. Hopefully they're fixing all the many potholes. Right, but we'll not mention that. Now we'll come back to this then for a second, and we'll make sure we're really dark here. And I want to be using one of my favourite brushes, if I can find it. This one, yes, now we're talking. Look at this beauty. This is a branch and detail brush, a very different version of a rigger brush. What you've got here is a reservoir that holds lots of colour. This is a Matthew Palmer branch and detail brush. This is the small one. Again, have a look on the website. And this is basically a rigger brush on steroids, because it allows you to get a lovely fine tip, but you're not forever reloading it because it holds the paint. That's the secret. So a lovely dark colour. So what you've done is you've loaded up this, which is now feeding that tip, and you've got yourself a little pen. Beautiful, beautiful. This is going to really sharpen this picture up for us, the Cottage especially. We'll do a bit more work on various things as well. But I want to go in here and I want to add some detail. I want to put some guttering in. All this juicy stuff that you might not think, but seriously it does make quite a difference. Adding little bits of detail, so around there. Even little brackets. Darken under the roof. This will give added sharpness to the whole picture. Down there. I think it's the sort of thing that people probably don't think to do, but adding a bit of guttering does actually sharpen up. Literally like having a pen in your hand. Putting a few little darker bits in the windows. Little diagonal flicks. Even put a little bench in there, look. Darken down some of these edges. Put some bits of detail on. So basically it's just like, you sort of, let's come back with the camera, remember we are live so we can do it live. Just little bits of added detail that just really make a difference in my opinion. I think we'll start to do the tree at this point as well actually. So we'll have two brushes at hand. We'll have the size 6 brush, and we're literally going to pick and mix here between the colours. So we're going to go in with the tree. This is this browny colour that I used for the roof. Actually, would be ideal for this. And we'll use this size 6 small super point brush to go in for the main branches of the tree. Bit of water at the bottom just to fade it down into the mist, and then we'll move into the brush in a second. We're weaving this through some of the shadow areas. Not going to do the whole tree here. Got this brush at hand for doing some of the fine lines, the fine detail. Working alongside what you've already done. And this is where pencil comes into play as well. You know, having pencil at hand as well. Very useful thing to have. You'll often see me do a little rotation as I do this, you know, so you can get to that nice thing. And I think that everyone that uses these, when I do in-person workshops around the country, people do tend to really get on with these branch and detail brushes, probably more than any brush, because literally it's just like having a fine pen in your hand and you're using it like a pen, and that's the secret to these. The less paint on your brush, but you see this is feeding this. It's like a little fountain pen. You can see the sort of clarity and the sharpness of that brush. Really nice little thing to have in your art stash. Great way to sharpen, great way to tidy. And of course, if your paint is thin enough, you can get some lovely fine branches in. Like that, beautiful, that, isn't it? Really nice little way to add a bit of clarity. I could do the same thing on the building as well. Wherever I want to get a bit of sharpness into play, I can bring it in. Probably going to add a bit of dark to this little dorm window here, sharpen that up a little bit. Even on the corner of the chimney, just a bit of added clarity. More random lines in the roof. And if I go really dry brush, so that's me taking the paint off on kitchen paper, you could use it in the background just to create a very distant tree, very misty tree. Few branches just on show here and there. Darken around the edge of the... You say to yourself, well, why not just use a pen? Well, obviously the thing is with a pen, it's black and it's very dark. This is not, this is grey. And obviously you've got control of what colour you're using as well, which does make quite a difference. Very important thing to have, really. And drop some little fence posts in here. A little bit of a rustic fence there. Side of that. Got a little bit of a fence. This is just all little bits of detail that you can bring into your cottage. You can even just darken one side of the tree a little bit here. Give it some shadow. Beautiful. I'm going to use the rusty brown colour. Pop that little bit of a old gate in. I was going to go white gate, but I think a very slight impression of an old, worn, rotted gate. Wife's been saying, do you want to sort that old gate out, get rid of it. Gives it a bit of charm. Foreground interest. Bit of detail. Lift the picture forward. Now, a common question people ask me is about these live workshops, these live virtual watercolour workshops. How do you go on with the drawing? Well, included in the workshops is an actual sketching lesson. So at the start of it, I'll guide you through. And the amount of comments I get from people saying how much the sketching lesson has really made a big difference to their painting life. So, and remember, the workshop is yours to keep. So what's happening from the 26th of March onwards, you will get included a sketching lesson if needed. Not all paintings have a sketching lesson, but we will be including a downloadable drawing, okay, which you'll get once the workshop has ended. So if you do want to do it afterwards, you've got that option for that as well. So don't ever think that it's going to be a challenge, because people surprise themselves, and I think I get the most comments about the drawings rather than the paintings. People really enjoy that sketching side of it. The one this Sunday's not got much sketching involved in it, but you'll still get that downloadable sketch. Just dropping a few shadows in here and there. A little bit of an old wire connecting this all together. Just makes a nice little foreground, don't it? You can see I've dropped a bit of grey underneath there. It's tempting as well with this picture to just add a few little flowers and things. So if we jump back to the palette, it doesn't really matter what colour we use for this, but anything goes. I've got some natural red here. That's always a nice one. Reds complement greens really well, so if I was to just say pop a few little bits of red flowers around here, just give it some variation. Might be foxgloves or whatever, I don't know. A little bit of red, and then you could even come back to the greens. I've been using quite a dark green here for doing those little grasses in between the fence. Could use that just to add a little bit of added dots and dabs around here. few spits and spots. There we go. I think it just all helps to bring this forward. And back to the tree, I just use that same dark green to add a few quite strong little spots for leaf, just on the edges here. Literally just working over the top of the there we go. So it's in conjunction of this working alongside what you already did with the tree brush. Makes it stand out a little bit. Nice little quick and simple loose watercolour there. Made a nice little pretty white cottage there, and made a nice little watercolour vignette, I think. Beautiful, that. I'm really pleased with that. Let's put that underneath there to make it nice and square for you. So there you go. That is the painting for today. Hope you've enjoyed watching that being created from just using those basic primary colours. It was a pleasure to do. Let's have a look at it on the screen here. So do make sure, if you're watching this on YouTube, that you subscribe to the channel. It makes a big difference. Also, if you're on Facebook, jump on Matthew Palmer Artist, hit like, hit follow. Also on Facebook, we've got Matthew Palmer's watercolour group. Yes, it's free to join that. So there you go. And I look forward to seeing you guys on the workshop on Sunday, because remember, we're going to have some fun. We're going to have some fun. We're going to paint this hot air balloon flying over a beautiful sunset over Stonehenge. It's going to be a belter. So do make sure you get yourself booked in. It is a very inexpensive thing. It's £12 for the workshop, and that includes a sketching lesson, a painting lesson, a £100 giveaway as well as an optional hangout after, where you can send your paintings in to be looked at on the workshop. So thank you so much. Let's take one more look at the painting for today, and here it is. There it is in all its glorious detail. Thanks for watching. Take care, and I'll see you soon.